A journey that began in the sky ended in hell. Amidst the fire and wreckage, a young boy was left alone. He was just a child, marked by tragedy and loss. Lost in an unforgiving jungle, he wandered aimlessly. His small body finally gave out, unable to take another step. As darkness closed in, he prepared for the end. But fate intervened in the form of a grizzled soldier. The boy had only one desperate plea. He wanted to live. The man offered him life, but at a terrible cost. His men protested, calling their leader's decision madness. But their boss, Kyohei Gozu, answered only to himself. And so began the boy's new life under a strange tutelage. His first lesson wasn't in words, but in cold steel. He was told this weapon would be his only family now. With nowhere else to turn, the boy accepted his new reality. Live by the gun, die by the gun, but first, lunch. A simple meal, the first step on a long, hard road. With every bite, he was unknowingly sealing his fate. He was told he would become a warrior. Kyohei promised to forge him into a weapon in 5 years. The training that followed was as brutal as promised. He was pushed past every limit with no room for weakness. But through the pain, a new fire was kindled in his eyes. He learned the art of combat, of pure survival. Soon, the other soldiers no longer saw a lost child. He became a prodigy with any weapon he touched. At just 10 years old, he was already a terrifying hunter. Even Kyohei was impressed by the boy's raw talent. They wondered if the student could one day surpass the master. 12 years later, the world is still engulfed in flames. On the front lines, whispers of a legendary figure begin to circulate. But for a new recruit, the name Kurenai means nothing. He is a ghost of the battlefield said to paint the ground crimson, a master sniper whose skills border on the impossible. The recruit's disbelief is answered with a single fatal shot. Panic erupts as the squad realizes they're being hunted. From a distant rooftop, a lone figure watches over the chaos. Through his scope, he calmly selects his next target. One by one, the soldiers fall to an unseen enemy. The boy, now a man, has become death incarnate. In this world, the weak are simply erased from the board. With cold efficiency, he declares the mission complete. This is Kurenai, the prodigy forged by Kyohei Gozu. His only thought is to report back to the man he calls father. But his exit is cut off by approaching enemy reinforcements. Unfazed, he draws a new weapon, ready for another round. The enemy charges forward, blind with rage and seeking revenge. Kurenai meets their fury with an unnerving calm. They laugh at his choice of weapon, a fatal miscalculation. He's about to give them a very painful firearms lecture. Lesson 1. A revolver never jams. The first shot takes out the driver with perfect accuracy. Their vehicle flips, turning their assault into a death trap. Lesson 2. Its high-caliber rounds pack a serious punch. A single bullet tears through 2 of the remaining soldiers. He moves with the confidence of an apex predator. And Lesson 3. Some say the weapon is divinely blessed. His final shot strikes a grenade on a soldier's belt. The entire squad is consumed in a fiery explosion. With the job done, Kurenai receives his next mission, Japan. Kurenai's first guess is a political assassination. He runs through a list of potential high-value targets, but Kyohei calmly lights a cigar, letting him guess. His mission isn't to kill, but to teach high school. Kurenai is understandably a little confused by the order. His mentor, however, is completely serious. Our boy tries to make sense of this new directive. He figures it must be a code for a secret kill mission. Nope, Kyohei clarifies, he's literally going to be a teacher. Kurenai argues that his skills are for the battlefield. Kyohei frames it as infiltration, but there's a small problem. His foster father already has a solution in mind. Kurenai confirms he's fluent in 5 languages. Guess all those language drills finally paid off. The decision is final. His new identity is already prepared. He has 24 hours to leave the war zone behind. He's no longer Kurenai, but Echizen Shota. As the plane takes off, he questions his new role. The transition from soldier to civilian is already jarring. He feels this mission is more complex than any before. His next battlefield is a country at peace, Echizen Shota, a name he must now live by. He leaves the world of fire and steel behind him. He arrives in Tokyo, a world away from the front lines. His first taste of Japan is a simple convenience store meal. But something about this new environment feels strange. He observes the simple joys of everyday life. It's a level of peace he has never known. What threat could possibly exist in a place like this? With lunch finished, it's time to head to the safe house. He arrives at the safe house, a modern Tokyo skyscraper. The apartment is more luxurious than any barracks he's known. But old habits die hard. His eyes scan for threats. Every shadow and corner is assessed with lethal precision. Finding the room clear, he allows himself a moment's rest. But peace is a luxury he has never been afforded. An assassin emerges from the shadows, moving in for the kill. The attacker wears a grin, certain of his victory. But he fails to realize Kurenai is never caught off guard. His first counterattack is a bottle of mineral water. The assassin's blade is stopped by an impossibly fast block. Lesson 5. Always stay hydrated and always be ready to fight. The would-be killer is left stunned and bleeding, but he recovers quickly, readying his knife for another pass. He lunges with a flurry of strikes, aiming to overwhelm him. The blade comes within a hair's breadth of Kurenai's throat. With an acrobatic kick, he disarms his opponent in style. The attacker realizes he's not fighting a man, but a predator. A single precise strike to the throat ends the fight. Kurenai dryly notes that Japan isn't as safe as advertised. The defeated man explains that safety, like water, isn't free. Suddenly, the assassin surrenders, admitting he can't win alone. Kurenai tells him to bring 5 men next time. The man smirks, hinting that he already has a partner. A schoolgirl appears from nowhere, a revolver aimed at Kurenai. Unfazed, Kurenai points out her gun's hammer isn't cocked. The girl freezes, her amateur mistake laid bare. In an instant, he closes the distance and disarms her. He gives her a quick lesson on how a revolver works. It seems these two aren't assassins, but his new teammates. Kurenai is still trying to process his new teammates. The man introduces himself as Ulfi, his partner for this mission, and the girl is Malin, who will provide support as a student. Kurenai correctly deduces their clumsy attack was just a test. With the awkward hazing ritual over, they're officially a team. But Kurenai has one very pressing, very logical question for Malin. He points out she looks a little old to be a high school student. She also reminds him to take his shoes off indoors. Welcome to Japan. Ulfi finds the whole exchange hilarious, having seen this coming. Malin insists her youthful glow is more than enough to fool everyone. Her partner, however, is quick to bring her back to reality. As his new support team bickers, Kurenai remains the stoic center. He calmly accepts their help, admitting his ignorance of local customs. Now it's time for the actual mission briefing. Their objective, infiltrate Otori Academy and protect a student. The target is a girl named Kujo Sakurako. Kurenai questions the need for such high-level protection for a teenager, but he's told she is far from an ordinary high school girl. She's the daughter of the president of a massive military corporation. The name Konohana Heavy Industries is one Kurenai knows well. They are a shadow arms dealer, supplying weapons across the globe. Recently, her father has been suspected of selling to enemy nations. The implications are world-altering, and the reasons are unknown. This has put the Kujo family on everyone's radar, and the easiest way to get to the father is through his daughter. A grim visual suggests the terrible fate that awaits her if they fail. The mission isn't just protection. They want him to get close to her. Kurenai understands the goal, get proof of the illegal arms deals. But he immediately declares himself the wrong man for that job. His reason? He's a soldier, not a charmer, with 0 experience in romance. Ulfi laments the waste of Kurenai's natural talents. Malin, meanwhile, is confident his good looks will handle the mission. Kurenai logically dismisses this, but files it away for consideration. The next morning, it's time to put the plan into action. He boards the 8:21 a.m. bus, knowing his target is already on board. His support team, Ulfi and Malin, monitors from a nearby car. Kurenai is immediately struck by how crowded public transport is. He finds the patience of the Japanese commuters almost unnerving. Through the crowd, he finally lays eyes on his principal, Kujo Sakurako. This is the girl he must protect at all costs. The first step is to shadow her and learn her daily routine. He confirms her travel patterns, just as the intel suggested. His team watches on, ready to provide backup if needed. He keeps a close watch on Sakurako, assessing any potential threats. The bus continues on its route through the city. As the vehicle sways, Sakurako appears increasingly uncomfortable. Kurenai diagnoses her with a fever because social cues are harder than defusing a bomb. He moves closer, preparing to offer some very misguided first aid. His team frantically explains that she's not sick, just flustered. But the true source of her distress is hidden in the crowd. A man is taking advantage of the packed bus to harass her. Sakurako is trapped, unable to escape the unwanted attention. Malin furiously clarifies the situation over the comms. Kurenai understands now. This is his first test as a bodyguard. The predator believes his actions have gone unnoticed. Sakurako sends out a silent, desperate plea for help. In a flash, Kurenai grabs the man's wrist, stopping him cold. He calmly applies pressure, reminding the man of the law. Sakurako looks up, shocked and relieved by her sudden rescue. She offers a shy thank you, which Kurenai brushes off as nothing. But he warns her that on the battlefield, she must fight alone. His team cringes at his complete lack of bedside manner. The bus pulls away and the harasser is ejected onto the street. He scrambles away, cursing the man who intervened. But Kurenai isn't finished. He's going to capture him. He gives chase with the speed of a trained predator. Sakurako can only watch in disbelief from the bus window. He corners the man in an alley, offering a simple warning. The man's bravado quickly melts into pure terror. He pulls out a stun gun in a last desperate act of defiance. Kurenai charges forward, completely unfazed by the weapon. He effortlessly seizes control of the man's arm. A single decisive move ends the pathetic confrontation. His eyes are cold, his expression unchanged. Just another day at the office. He reports the situation to Ulfi, the target neutralized. His handler reminds him this is an undercover mission, not a public brawl. Kurenai retorts that his only skills are destruction and assassination. His team sighs, realizing they'll just have to make this work. Kurenai finally arrives at his destination, Otori Academy. He reports his arrival, precise and professional as always. But his team points out a critical flaw. He's late. He's told to apologize to the principal, which raises a new question. Ulfi is floored by his partner's complete ignorance of civilian life. Kurenai explains that his upbringing didn't exactly include homeroom. Malin helpfully translates, a principal is like a colonel. The word colonel instantly commands Kurenai's respect. He finds the office of this high-ranking commander. A voice from within grants him permission to enter. The principal, an elderly man, has been waiting for him. Kurenai sizes up the man he believes to be a military legend. Kurenai analyzes the man, finding no hint of a threat. The principal offers a compliment, but intel says his only skill is bonsai. Bonsai, a word with no place in his tactical vocabulary. Suddenly, the old man moves with surprising speed. Kurenai's instincts take over, his hand flying to his weapon. His team screams over the comms, begging him not to shoot. But the principal's weapon is a simple piece of paper. Kurenai is left completely baffled by the exchange. The colonel hands him a standard Japanese business card. Malin frantically coaches him on proper civilian etiquette. He accepts the card like it's a top-secret mission file. The principal introduces himself, and Kurenai snaps into a salute. He holds the pose with the gravity of a soldier reporting for duty. Kurenai is moved by this colonel's mercy, a concept foreign to him. The principal then mentions a police report about a student. Kurenai proudly takes credit for neutralizing the threat. He's assigned to Class 2B and accepts with a hearty, "Roger, Colonel." The principal is understandably a little confused. Kurenai quickly corrects himself, still shouting like he's on a parade ground. From a remote location, his team monitors his every move. Ulfi sighs, confirming Kurenai is only armed with his revolver. Kurenai strides down the hall, a predator in a suit. He confirms he left the C4 and assault rifles at home. How considerate. He finally arrives at his destination, Classroom 2B. Malin, already undercover, tells him to enter. She gives him one last piece of advice: try to act normal. He steels himself at the door, ready for his next mission. Ikizan Shota, the new teacher, makes his grand entrance. The boys in the class are immediately disappointed. The girls, however, have a very different reaction. He stands before the class, a soldier in a teacher's uniform. The girls are immediately captivated, bombarding him with questions. The boys, however, are less than thrilled with the new competition. Malin notes his instant popularity, but her focus is on the target. Sakurako recalls his heroic intervention, a blush creeping onto her face. Malin informs him over the comms that he's just triggered a love flag, a term that has absolutely no place in his tactical dictionary. The homeroom teacher prompts him to begin his official introduction. He introduces himself, holding the chalk like a battlefield cigar. His fluency in 5 languages only deepens their admiration. The male student's jealousy reaches a new comical peak. One student in particular seems to be taking this very personally. The teacher asks a simple follow-up question about his hobbies. His answer, sniping and weightlifting. Normal teacher stuff. With that, his brutally efficient introduction is complete. Another student seethes, bitter about the double standard. In a fit of rage, he launches a projectile at the new teacher. But Kurenai's reflexes are not of this world. The student is left utterly speechless by the impossible catch. Kurenai calmly inspects the crumpled piece of paper. He disposes of the threat with practiced ease. The class wonders if their new teacher is secretly a ninja. Kurenai thinks to himself, not a ninja, a mercenary. And as Malin knows, one of the best in the world. His team debates his methods, but the results speak for themselves. His next destination is the teacher's staff room, but it seems his fan club has already tracked him down. Even Sakurako has come looking for him, textbook in hand. Malin reports that the target is seeking him out, but he's vanished. Suddenly, Ulfi's voice comes over the comms with an urgent warning. Ulfi's warning is about a student falling from the third floor. The impact is brutal, a life cut tragically short. But this is a flashback. The girl is a student named Fuse, and her partner, a blonde student, is also on the move. Kurenai finds himself face to face with the jealous student from class. The boy claims to have information about Sakurako, but it's a trap, and Kurenai is already unimpressed with his form. The student proudly declares himself the star of the Go Home Club, a term that, once again, has no place in Kurenai's tactical dictionary. Kurenai asks for a logical reason for the hostility. The reason, as it turns out, is simple, straightforward jealousy. Kurenai tries to de-escalate, stating he's not here to play games. But the student clarifies this isn't a game, it's an assault. Kurenai effortlessly dodges, offering combat advice mid-swing. He points out the critical flaws in his opponent's technique. The critique only fuels the student's blind rage. He brings the bat down with all his might. But Kurenai moves with a speed the boy can't comprehend. The student's shock is met with a cold, predatory gaze. A single, perfectly placed strike ends the confrontation. High above, a drone captures the entire exchange. With the threat neutralized, Kurenai declares the game over. His team can only watch in disbelief at his methods. Kurenai, however, considers it a successful educational guidance session. His teammates are clearly not on the same page. He then proceeds to carry the student through the halls like a sack of potatoes. The student body can only stare and whisper at the bizarre sight. Malin finds the whole situation absolutely hilarious. His fan club, meanwhile, seems to be growing by the second. He delivers the problem student to the nurse's office for processing. The team gathers around the neutralized student in the nurse's office. Malin is understandably losing her mind over his methods. Kurenai, however, remains completely unbothered by the situation. He's just feeling nostalgic for his own brand of educational guidance. But word of the incident is already spreading through the school. Multiple students have confirmed they witnessed the new teacher's actions. The principal and the school nurse rush to the scene mid-noodle break. Back in the infirmary, the team tries their best to look innocent. The nurse bursts in, ready to take charge of the situation. He asks Kurenai if he administered first aid, and our boy takes the credit. The principal arrives, demanding to know what exactly happened. Kurenai offers only a cold, silent stare in response. His teammates frantically try to come up with a cover story. Their best idea, the student slipped on a banana peel. Classic. The principal is, shall we say, a little skeptical of their story. The nurse examines the student, immediately dismissing their excuse. With 40 years of experience and a karate black belt, he knows a palm strike when he sees one. He points the finger directly at Kurenai, accusing him of attacking a student. His teammates can only confirm that the nurse is 100% correct. The principal looks to Kurenai for an explanation, hoping it isn't true. The nurse pressures him to confess before the student wakes up. Malin warns him that a teacher who gets violent gets fired. Kurenai is unfazed. Getting fired won't stop him from protecting his target. He's certain this won't blow up, thanks to a mercenary's intuition. Just then, the student jolts awake with a scream. He's confused, mumbling about a dream involving a bomb. The nurse immediately asks if the new teacher was the one who hurt him. The student looks at Kurenai, and the terrifying memory comes rushing back. The nurse prepares to call the police, ready to defend the student. But the student suddenly denies it, telling the nurse he's wrong. The student insists his injury was from a simple fall. He then proceeds to insult the nurse, which was probably not a great idea. Kurenai remains silent, letting the scene play out. The student leaves with a parting threat, vowing revenge. With his pride barely intact, the boy makes a hasty retreat. The team is left alone in the now empty infirmary. Malin is impressed, noting the similarities between mercenaries and delinquents. Ulfi agrees, explaining that both groups live by a code of honor. Kurenai understands, it's all about protecting one's reputation. Malin realizes Kurenai predicted the student's reaction perfectly. He knew the boy couldn't bear the shame of losing to a new teacher. His team is in awe of his incredible tactical judgment. Kurenai allows himself a small, knowing smile. All in a day's work. His partners look on with a new level of respect. With the first crisis handled, they refocus on their primary objective. Malin playfully compares their mission to a famous video game, a reference that goes completely over our boy's head. She quickly stops Ulfi from making any more confusing pop culture jokes. As the school day ends, students begin to head home. The team spots their target, Sakurako, at the shoe lockers. She goes about her routine, completely unaware of the danger she's in. A simple, everyday action for a girl with a world of trouble ahead. The locker room buzzes with the energy of the end of the day. Sakurako seems calm, lost in her own world for a moment, but a shadowy figure watches, seeing her as a prize to be won. The team tenses, sensing a new threat on the horizon. To this unknown enemy, capturing Sakurako means conquering the world. She remains a picture of innocence, oblivious to the predators circling. The team watches from a distance, confirming her location. Ulfi, however, is still baffled by the concept of indoor shoes. Malin smugly calls it a lesson in profound local culture, but Kurenai silences their bickering with a single sharp gesture. The target is on the move, heading out of the school. He orders his team to stop their pointless argument and focus. They freeze, caught off guard by his sudden intensity. His eyes narrow, having spotted a new potential threat. The drone feed confirms it. A male student is loitering nearby. The boy celebrates, having captured something on his phone. His plan is revealed, a hidden camera in Sakurako's locker. He waits for his moment, his strange behavior noted from above. As she leaves, he makes his move, stealing her indoor shoes. Kurenai's expression darkens. This is an unacceptable breach. The student's obsession is revealed in a deeply unsettling way. Kurenai is ready for an interrogation, but his team holds him back. They try to explain the situation with a word he's never heard. Malin can't believe he's never heard of this cultural phenomenon. The student, meanwhile, is lost in his own bizarre fantasy. Ulfi clarifies that the boy isn't a soldier, just a creep. The shoe thief makes his gleeful escape from the school. Kurenai is left to process this new illogical form of enemy. He simply cannot comprehend the motive behind such an act. Unable to let it go, he leaps into action to capture the suspect. His team decides this is a valuable, if strange, cultural lesson. The chase leads to an abandoned construction site. Soon, the student finds himself a guest at Kurenai's interrogation. Kurenai calmly picks up a makeshift interrogation tool. He approaches his captive, ready to get some answers. With a swift motion, he confirms the student's identity. The bag is ripped away, revealing a face frozen in terror. Kurenai demands to know what organization he works for. He runs through a list of the world's deadliest intelligence agencies. He's not just guessing, he's faced them all on the battlefield. Even Japan's own elite forces are on his list of potential threats. The student thinks this is all from a movie, but Kurenai assures him it's very real. The boy frantically insists he would never hurt his beloved Sakurako. Kurenai's first theory, he was applying a deadly poison to her shoes. His second, more explosive theory, he was planning a booby trap. The student argues that getting explosives is impossible in Japan. A fair point, usually. Kurenai counters that a civilian couldn't, but this boy is still a suspect. He decides to test this theory with some aggressive persuasion. The student is, to put it mildly, not a fan of this interrogation method. Kurenai gives him a simple choice: confess or prove you're an agent by enduring it. With a cold maybe, he prepares to get his answers one way or another. Meanwhile, a new threat emerges from the shadows of the city. A sniper has acquired his target, ready to take the shot. On the street below, Sakurako is suddenly approached by Malin. Malin plays the part of a friendly classmate, getting close to the target. But the reflection in a street mirror reveals the hidden danger above. The sniper confirms his line of sight is clear. His crosshairs are locked directly on Sakurako. He's warned to be careful as Malin is now in the line of fire. Malin makes small talk, asking Sakurako about local makeup trends. Sakurako explains that makeup is strictly forbidden at their school. Malin complains about the strict rules, trying to build rapport. She launches into a rant about the stifling nature of Japanese schools. Sakurako innocently asks if schools are different overseas. Malin gives a very colorful and exaggerated description of Western schools. Distracted by her own story, she doesn't see the approaching car. Suddenly, a blonde man pulls Sakurako to safety as a car splashes by. He apologizes for getting her wet, a new player entering the game. Malin realizes this new guy is a complete stranger to Sakurako. The blonde man, however, acts like he's known her forever. He lays on the charm, thick, declaring all women are princesses. He gently takes her hand, moving in for the classic move. Sakurako is stunned as he leans in for a princely hand kiss, but Malin interrupts with a not-so-princely kick to the jaw. She gives him a quick lesson on Japanese consent laws. KO. He argues his European roots excuse his behavior. Malin points out his backstory seems to change on a daily basis. Sakurako can only laugh, finding their dynamic oddly endearing. It's revealed the charming stranger is Ulfi, on a side mission of his own. But the real danger still looms, its sights locked on the group. On a nearby rooftop, Kurenai has already found the threat, and with his signature revolver, he's about to end it. The enemy sniper is neutralized before he can even pull the trigger. A single perfect shot right between the eyes. Kurenai stands over the body, his expression grim. The presence of a sniper confirms his fears. This is a major operation. He wonders if the enemy's goal is to capture his target, or if there's an even darker purpose behind their actions. Later that night, we see Sakurako's home, a massive, opulent estate. Her bedroom is a princess's fantasy, filled with toys and frills. But the girl herself seems lost and lonely in her gilded cage. A maid brings in a lavish tea service, a daily ritual of wealth. The room is a testament to her family's power and influence. The maid, Kanai, notices her lady's melancholy. Sakurako is startled, addressing the maid with a polite honorific. But Kanai coldly reminds her of her father's strict rules. The maid's icy demeanor enforces the house's rigid hierarchy. Sakurako apologizes, her smile fading under the woman's gaze. Kanai reminds her to always carry the pride of the Kujo family. She lectures Sakurako on the duties of a noble heiress. But Sakurako seems distracted, a blush coloring her cheeks. With a shy glance, she prepares to ask a very personal question. She asks the stoic maid if she has ever been in love. After a brief fish-related misunderstanding, the topic is clarified. Kanai immediately shuts down the idea, citing family rules. Sakurako denies everything, but her mind is filled with her new teacher. The maid's expression hardens, her duty to the family absolute. But then, her demeanor shifts entirely, revealing a surprising loophole. Sakurako is stunned by this unexpected turn of events. Kanai declares herself an ally to any maiden in love. She takes the young girl's hand, sealing their new pact. With the maid's support, Sakurako's hope is rekindled. Sakurako celebrates, unaware of the maid's one condition. Elsewhere, Kurenai is back in his element at a shooting range. The condition is simple. The man in question must be sensible,